Hello and welcome to my Unchaired YouTube session as part of the pre-conference Global Justice, Technology and Integrated Research. My name is Lena Fiedler. I am a research assistant at the Berlin Ethics Lab from the Technical University Berlin, and my focus is feminist ethics of technology. Today I will talk to you about testimonial injustice in integrated research. I will illustrate the problem based on experiences in a project about human-robot interaction and present an initial proposal for a solution. Participation of stakeholders itself is a huge research field. There are different stakeholders and different methods to participate these stakeholders. I will focus on user participation via field tests. After illustrating this concept of user participation in integrated research, I will argue that participation comes with the risk of testimonial injustice. I will give you a brief introduction to the concept of testimonial injustice by Miranda Fricker. But I don't want to stop at describing the problem. Instead, I would like to present a solution. Well, at least the first step towards a solution. I propose a concept of listening based on the theory of analytic psychology. Participation and integration of stakeholders are a key factor for integrated research. There are different stakeholder groups. Today, I will focus on the user of emerging technologies. The aim is to integrate different perspectives, especially the perspectives of those who are often not seen nor heard. For example, the perspective of disabled people, elderly, women, or people of color. I am doing this in relation to the latest research of the WOCIT project. WOCIT is a research project funded by the Bundesministerium für Bildung und Forschung that aims for a safe and sensible use of robots in public spaces. Part of the project is the participation of different stakeholders, including future users. To do so, we started our first field test in an electronics store in Chemnitz. Here, a robot is driving through the aisle, presenting information about products. The interaction with the robot is observed and recorded. Afterwards, the customers are asked about their perspective on the robot and their interaction with the robot. In the picture you can see the robot driving in the aisle. There are many methods to participate future users. In the WOCIT field test, this was done in a more user-oriented way with a questionnaire. Other formats would be discussion rounds or the opportunity to get involved in a more active and creative way. What all these methods have in common, however, is that they are based on an exchange of information. The user, on the one side, describes their perspectives, experiences, opinions, and knowledge, and the researcher, on the other side, listens and gains information. But when we are looking at the exchange of information and knowledge, we have to consider the risk of epistemic injustice. Miranda Fricker is a philosopher and professor at the NYU, New York University. In her book, Epistemic Injustice, Power and the Ethics of Knowing, she shaped the term epistemic injustice. This term is distinguished in two types of epistemic injustice. On the one hand, we have hermeneutic injustice, and on the other hand, we have testimonial injustice. Both types of injustice are relevant for integrated research. Hermeneutic injustice describes the problem that we lack the words to express an experience. We encounter this challenge time and time again in our research and in our interdisciplinary collaborations. We struggle with the different meaning of words, their understanding and misunderstanding. However, today I will not talk about the challenges of interdisciplinary research, but about the participation of users. Hence, I will concentrate on testimonial injustice. First of all, let's take a look at the meaning of testimonial injustice. Imagine a group of individuals coming together, for example, to do a field test. Now in this group, we have some users who are participating in the field test. In the case of the WOCIT field test, these are customers of an electronic market. After interacting with the robot, they talk to the researchers, the listeners, about their experience. Hence, we have the speaker, the participants in the field test, and we have the listeners, the researchers. Now, testimonial injustice is done to the speaker by the listener if the listener takes the speaker less seriously because of ingrained prejudice. The credibility of the speaker is downgraded because of their identity, age, sex, disability, race, ethnicity, origin, religion, or economic or other status. To give you a hypothetical example, a woman describes her experience with a robot and characterizes the interaction as difficult and unintuitive. However, the listener does not take her experience seriously. In the unconscious conviction that women are less able to deal with technology anyway, he plays down her concerns. I emphasize that this is a hypothetical example. There are many methods to prevent this, particular in a research context. For example, the conversation could be recorded and analyzed by several different people. Nevertheless, whenever we exchange information from speaker to listener, there is a risk of testimonial injustice. Now let's take a look at the consequences of testimonial injustice. First of all, it has a negative impact on our research because important perspectives are not seen and relevant points are not heard. But testimonial injustice does also hurt the person to whom the injustice is done. This person is degraded in their rationality and hence degraded as a human being. They are being disbelieved without any rational reason, and that is a violation of their personhood. Furthermore, in case of testimonial injustice, the speaker is downgraded to a pure epistemic object. In reference to Immanuel Kant, Fiedler is making very clear that this is ethically wrong. It's wrong to downgrade a person to a pure object. However, when we are treating a person with testimonial injustice, we do so. For example, if you are participating users in your research, but only see them as a pure source of information, like a book or a number, you treat them as epistemic objects. Their personhood, their background and experiences get lost. Now let's take a look at the global stage of testimonial injustice. Testimonial injustice, like epistemic injustice in general and epistemic violence, are associated with colonialism and the expansion of a male-dominated Eurocentrism as the only legitimate and reasonable perspective on knowledge. The concept of testimonial injustice captures the basic patriarchal and racist attitude. If it's not a white man talking, don't even bother listening. Fiedler clearly illustrates that testimonial injustice is still a problem in our society and that the centrist perspective on knowledge is still established, especially because it often involves unconscious, deeply rooted prejudices that we think have long been overcome. It seems all the more important to me that we address the risk of testimonial injustice today and generally in our work, because it runs counter to the core idea of integrated research. At first glance, participation seems to be an excellent approach for integrating different perspectives, allowing different voices to be heard, and thus gaining a more comprehensive view of the research. However, with the concept of testimonial injustice in mind, there is a risk that participation is biased, not because minorities or discriminated groups are not participated, but because they are not equally participated. As the philosopher and feminist Sandra Harding had argued, just adding a woman is not enough, and we should already know that. After all, that is the point of integrated research. Instead of adding different perspectives, we want to integrate them. But to do so, we have to do more than just participation. It is not enough to have a seat at the table. Following the concept of testimonial injustice, even if you have a seat at the table, you still might be ignored, belittled, and not taken seriously. I would like to emphasize at this point that we already have numerous good methods in science to prevent prejudice in user participation. Participation is very often successful and extremely enriching for research. However, I argue that we should be aware of the risk of testimonial injustice in order to be able to prevent it consistently. So in the next few minutes, I will propose a solution to improve the relationship between the speaker and the listener, the user and the researcher. So to help to prevent testimonial injustice. To do integrated research and actually do integrate different perspectives, not just participate them, everybody must be able to listen. Hence, I propose a concept of listening based on the theory of analytic psychology. Here, listening means to establish an emotional contact with the talker. Try to identify with them and what they are telling you. Even if one has not experienced these situations or emotions, one accepts and embraces them. David Tuckett is a distinguished fellow of the Institute of Psychoanalysis in London and has worked as a part-time psychoanalytica since 1977. In his essay, Does Anything Go?, Tuckett is asking what makes a good listener. He comes up with 3 key capacities. I will set my focus on the first one, the participant observational frame. So, the next question would be, what does make a good listener? How can we achieve a good observational working frame described by Tuckett? Luckily, Tuckett has a clear concept of a good listener and gives us various concrete points to illustrate the ability of listening. Due to the short time left, I will only present 3, but I highly recommend to check the full list in his essay. Being a listener means being able to wait. As Linda Alcoff in her essay, The Problem of Speaking for Others, argues, the first thing we need to do when we want to speak up for others is to shut up. We need to listen, even embrace the silence, if the other is not ready to talk yet. Being a good listener also means to be aware of their own blind spots. Everyone has their own blind spots. Being incapable of seeing a problem, understanding a feeling, that is normal and it's okay. However, the listener needs to be aware of their own blind spots and accepts that they might not be able to fully comprehend. Third, being a good listener means to be able to notice and reflect on mistakes, but not too defensively. Everybody makes mistakes. We use wrong words, we offend people, we are insensitive, or sometimes we are just stupid. But instead of claiming flawless communication, the listener should be aware of their mistakes and addresses them. At the same time, Making mistakes is human. The listener should sincerely apologize, but does not have to defend himself. Last but not least, from my experience in the WOCIT project, it is already extremely helpful to be aware of the risk of testimonial injustice in order to prevent it. In the project, we prepared our field tests in several preliminary discussions and an ethic workshop on diversity and integration. So, to sum it up, if we want to integrate different perspectives and different realities into our research, we have to take the risk of testimonial injustice in participation seriously, address it, and find solutions. This accounts especially for integrated research on a global stage and, after all, to achieve global justice. My proposal for a psychoanalytical concept of listening is one small step along this very long road. Thank you very much for your attention. Now, I wish you an enjoyable conference and more exciting presentations. If you have any questions or suggestions, I look forward to hearing from you via email. Thank you.